two teams are all focusing down on that bot side. The press ult win game combos have started to come back into fashion as well, I will say, in the LPL. So if you get some good ultis to pair it with the Misfortune, certainly a route to success for these teams. The majority of these bans, though, do look very similar, and now I think we're toying between what our final ban could end up being. The Gwen taken off the board, the Rumble taken off the board, and it's the Jace taken away, a champ that slipped completely through last champion select, ripped from the contention in the bans.
You wonder if that, allows for some of the other top lane picks like the Cassante and the Ambessa to rise up in priority with things like the Gwen, Rumble, and Jace taken off the board. There's that Misfortune that you were talking about. JackeyLove played it nicely, I think, in the grand finals against AL a couple of weeks ago, so that'll be the selection here for him early on in this draft. Also find it interesting that Top Esports banned the Gwen on the blue side, because I feel like this is a champion that somebody like Kanavi could definitely do a lot of work on.
Yeah, maybe they just think that Flandre has a really solid answer to it, and that they didn't want to have to deal with that. The immediate pairings, though, coming through, and this sets up for a really good Lilia angle for Kanavi here. The Misfortune Lilia combo is lethal as is, especially if you get to pick it into a counter matchup like when you're taking it versus this Sejuani. It's been a bit of a gamble of teams. I think that we've seen people take Lilia into Sejuani time and time again, but have frequently still failed with it. I think that taking away this Renekton as well by Top Esports makes sense. It's a clinical pairing that could go into Flandre's hands if they want to leave that in the top side. Pairs nicely up against that Sedge, but Top Esports deciding that they're taking of the Renekton is high prio. I think that matching with Lilia here is the way they should be going, gives them some AP, and then definitely gives Creme a lot of flexibility in his champion pool as well.
I'm the tiniest bit curious to see if we try to see some flexibility with this Renekton. I know that it generally does good into the Wind Brothers, and Yon specifically is a pretty good matchup here for the Crocodile. So does Creme want to pick it up? Looks like no, as the Tristana is going to be locked in. It does mean that Kanavi is most likely going to have to play an AP jungler here, and that has not been selected, which means that that's a very easy target for AL in the second ban phase. Yeah,
you've hit the nail on the head there, Grapes, right? They're going to probably want to put Kanavi on something that's AP focused, but they're going to get that pool pinched. So Lily is going to get taken off the board. You then think, is it maybe Karthus or something like that they're also going to look to ban away? But AL full committing to this dive, right? They've got Kai'Sa now laid over the top. They've got a Yone Sejuani duo that's going to be looking to dive into your backline as well. So they're just really looking to see what other champions are Top Esports going to be banning away. Things like Rel to take off the board, Nautilus as well, going to go very well. And I also wouldn't mind AL here taking a quick ban at Braum as well, just to stop that potential disengage coming through. I think Braum with double marksman is very powerful, and Braum versus this heavy engage as well does really well.
Yeah, the Kael Rel, always a big target here, as the Nidalee is another champion that Kanavi is very, very good on as well, so that'll be taken off the board. Another AP style jungler there. Talking about AP with the Yone and the Kai'Sa picked up for AL, looks like anyone's legend gonna need some of that in addition, so that you see the Kennen and the Gragas also being pinched away from Flandre. Still a couple of different AP focused top laners that he could try to go for, but those are two of the bigger ones, especially with things like the Gwen and the Rumble already off the board.
Yeah, and there's still that discussion of what are the Kai'Sa builds going to look like. I think we've seen a lot of LPL players be able to quite handily play the AP Kai'Sa, but there's this new build coming up where you're just going for full AD, very old school attack damage Kai'Sa, and very traditional AD carry build paths currently. So maybe we'll see a revert back to the hybrid for Hope this game, just noticing that his team is lacking that little bit of magic damage. But equally, Top Esports themselves don't particularly have a true tank that would need to just be able to build armor and then feel fine. Curious to see what their plan is for this second round of picks, though. For Top, they've got a lot of AD. Those two big ticket AP junglers have been banned away, so you are scraping a slightly lower bottom of the barrel. Like I say, things like Karthus at least start to come to mind. There's Fiddlesticks, right? Plenty of AP junglers that do exist, but this is a question that Top have yet to give an answer to.
Yeah, you're digging deep in that pool with the Fiddlesticks pick up here. We haven't seen that in the meta in quite a bit of time. Looks like it's going to be the AP-oriented Maokai build instead for Kanavi. You build the Liandry's, you do a little bit, and Tarzan can be very tanky here on this Sejuani pick, but in terms of the big priority targets, think of the Yone and the Kai'Sa specifically, they're still going to take a lot of damage from those saplings here. We'll see what Kael wants to lock in with this final pick. The Nautilus will be the answer, as we are going full dive, full all in on this red side trap.
Yeah, and I mean, I know he was toying between the Elise for a lot more sort of lane and snowball, and this Nautilus, I definitely prefer the Nautilus here. Does really well, especially versus Misfortune, right? You've got 2 ways of attempting to interrupt that bullet time. You've got really easy access to tried and true CC, which even though Tristana can buffer a rocket jump, that ulti is going to connect. There's going to be a knock-up somewhere on the Trist, which is really important. But this is, again, for Top Esports, a very heavy revert back to comfort for them. Creme's Tristana, JackeyLove on the Misfortune as well. These are the 2 quintessential picks almost, especially for Creme in that mid lane. Had that glorious run of 18 games of Tristana undefeated last year. So truly one of the picks that we tout and that we associate with this player quite substantially. JackeyLove, like you were mentioning just a bit earlier on in the draft grapes, really solid on the Misfortune, has picked this up time and time again, was even banned away from him in game number 1. So lots of power in their hands for Top Esports, lots of comfort as well.
Even like the Renekton for 369, certainly another comfort pick for him, and so that is what we're looking for here for Top Esports. They've got just a generally all-around comp. Like, this is the Mario in Mario Kart, like, or when you play those games, like the basic generic team composition that they've whipped out here. As for AL, as you said, a little bit more all-in dive focused. I'm very interested to see what Kael does on this Nautilus. I think he has one clear goal with selecting this on R5, which is to interrupt the Misfortune bullet time with his depth charge, and that's going to be an interaction that I'm going to be excited to watch as we get into game number 2.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the support counter pick of Nautilus, you know, it's not crazy by any means, but could have easily been taken a little bit earlier on, but they did need to see what the support pairing or support matchup was going to look like, right? They can't take Nautilus on 4 for fear of getting Bromed on, and I think that the idea that they pivoted how their bans were going to look, so they sort of took the Nidalee away as well as that Lilia, makes a lot of sense, knowing that they're going to save counter pick for that 5th pick. So AL, I think, have got a really solid composition that does one thing very well. It does dive exceptionally well, and as long as they can find their backline, find their target, they're going to do well. But looking at setup as well for this bullet time, what is in the locker of Top Esports? Well, they've got roots from Kanavi, 2 different instances of you know, CC that's going to come through, and with AL sniffing out JackeyLove here, Kael would have wanted to be leading the charge.
And so not going to be in range to actually throw out that dredge line, as Hope is the one to catch vision first. Look overall at Top Esports composition. They have a lot of frontline, which is going to be helpful against the heavy engage that Anyone's Legends provides. They're going to have to do a lot of body blocking here, because a champion like this Misfortune needs to be untouched, both for the strut passive as well as, you know, when that bullet time gets unlocked. Obviously, you're in a standstill for a large portion of time, right? And so making sure that those engage tools are not used onto those double marksman composition is going to be very important if you are Top Esports here. In this 2v2, though, looks like AL once again trying to get off on the right foot.
I mean, Kael just has the brush control here, and again, we know that Alistair level 1, I feel like it's been said on this broadcast a lot, and you know, by me as well, useless champion. But Nautilus as well, if he goes in, then ends up giving Alistair a little bit of agency. So they're playing a little bit of bingo, or not a bit of bingo, a bit of chicken, excuse me, down on that bot side. Quick little poke from JackeyLove as well, finding an early auto attack onto Hope. Now it's the race for level 2.
Fought for and won by Anyone's Legends, who then Kael pops the ignite onto Chris, flash forward, and they find the dredge line onto JackeyLove. He cleanses, but it does not cleanse away from the dredge line. And that is a big win here for the bot lane of AL, once again getting off to the right foot.
Yeah, 3 sums for 2. Kael burns both of his, but Hope still with barrier, with flash up and ready. Tarzan with a very early wander into this mid lane, going to spot out Kanavi as well. And both of these junglers laid on their bot side, pass through the mid lane, so give a little hello to their mid laners, and a little bit more XP sapped, it will be said, by Tarzan than by Kanavi. But it's Tarzan who's getting sniffed around at the minute.
You know, with the prio that Creme has in this range versus melee matchup, it allows for Kanavi to at least pick up the small chicken in the jungle of the Sejuani. And so still continues to be Kanavi harassing a little bit in Tarzan's jungle, getting a ward on that red buff, so we know exactly where he will be. And when it's clear, remember, now on the bottom side, Summoner's down on Chris. He's a very easy target. They land the dredge line instead on the JackeyLove, but Hope is taking some damage as well. The mana pool, though, on this Misfortune, it's running very, very thin at this point, which means no time for double ups, no make it range, and it's going to be very hard for JackeyLove to stay in this lane for much longer.
Yeah, and if Chris channels this back here, I mean, AL can probably just dive under the turret, take JackeyLove out, so he needs to book it, really. Cannot stick around underneath that turret to catch this wave. Gonna have to, yeah, you can see cancelling the recall on the minimap, forced to go even further back. Gonna give a good opportunity now for Hope and Kael to get an advantage, get a good recall in. I do think that there was an opportunity for a kill to come through. Crisp was holding headbutt pulverized, but Hope has flash, so could have flashed over it, potentially forced the JackeyLove summoner, potentially taking him down as well. Early culls picked up for both of the AD carries on top esports, though. They know that if they go late, they're going to be fine. A double marksman composition, typically we know scales very well into that late game. So sitting back, resting on their laurels a little early on, but when we come to that mid game, expect them to be hitting very hard.
Yeah, you have the two different kind of styles of marksman as well, right? You have Creme on the Tristana, who can play a little bit more aggressive with the rocket jump in or out, try to play more on the limits here. And then you have JackeyLove, who's able to sit back a little bit more with that bullet time, especially as we get later on into this game. So this is a lot of really good team fighting tools for top esports as we get into the back half of game number 2, but we have to get there first. And right now, anyone's legend, specifically with that bottom lane lead, they opened up that 1-wave lead for themselves and are in a decent position overall for Hope and Kael to once again have high impact in this game.
Yeah, and again, a reminder that this AL oh, hold on.
Oh, empowered W here for 369. Gonna force the flash out of Flandre. Slice, dice, and the Q. That's first blood for 369.
Yeah, just knowing that the hop's down and that he doesn't have the way to get out. Now another engaged bot side.
Looks like Chris and JackeyLove want to engage with this big wave crashing down here for TES. Spotted out by Tarzan, though, and Kael does not land that dredge line. That could have been disastrous here for top esports.
The wave's too
Tarzan
big.
didn't want to jump in just yet. Here comes the flash, though, onto the flashless Alistar, and makes it a 1-for-1 trade. However, here comes the teleport. It will be 369 joining the fight, but Tarzan and Hope should be able to get away for now. They get underneath the turret, which means that the second dice from 369 would almost surely lead to his doom.
Yeah, Hope is going to have to catch this massive wave under the turret. If he goes down there, it's so devastating for the AL bot side, but he's able to catch the majority of this experience. Tarzan has to stick around because 369, you can see he fancies this. Level 6 just turned.
Yeah, it's a barrier, so Hope procs it a little bit too early. With the empowered W, 369 could burst right through it, but he's able to get the entirety of the wave and actually still pick up a decent gold lead for himself after getting that kill in the trade onto Chris.
Yes,
so
we're
that
seeing
is where the lead for bot lane is right now for AL.
The top lane now start to bleed over. 369 didn't have to teleport to get back to that top side. In fact, was able to find a solo kill in the top lane, then TP down to that bot side to rescue what was a winning play for AL and turn it around into top esports' favor. And now able to bully Flandre on his return to the lane.
You can see him that as well. You know that he's going for clearing out those waves as fast as possible. He already has one plate for himself down on the bottom side, where as JackeyLove and Chris has rotated top lane, looks like 3 grubs once again picked up for Kanavi, just like they were in game number 1. So despite the early advantages that Hope and Kael were able to pick up, this is top esports right now with a 1,000 gold lead before the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, and take a look as well at the disparities, right? It is that top lane which is truly speaking to us, as Shanks forced to ulti away in the mid lane. Creme on his Tristana has a level lead, has a gold lead, is now forcing ultis from Shanks without really any recompense, making out that, or making those minions do get missed. As 369, this is that replay, forces the hop from Flandre early on, gets the empowered W and just knows that he's going to have the ability with Flash to take Flandre down. He's greedy for these auto attacks, and as soon as that empowered W is up with Fury, just knows, okay, you've got no Flash, or you've got no hop, excuse me, and I've got Slice and Dice. You don't have a chance.
Yeah, that empowered W so strong. You get 3 different procs of Conquer as well, because you can stack that up quicker, and then, you know, combining it with all the other spells that 369 has to get that Renekton, able to get a very good state for himself in this game. The top laners have rotated down to the bottom side for now, as Flandre does hit Mega with a wave crashing underneath the turret, most likely. Doing a nice job to hold it there, at least for now. Top esports sending their bottom lane back to base, and we'll see where they decide to redeploy. Do they want to try continue the 2v2? It looks like yes, as he heads back to the top side.
Ooh, okay. I was looking at this and thinking, well, actually, with the way that JackeyLove is, you know, building at the minute, the BF sword is actually a really powerful spike for him, and they could probably look to try and fight around this bot side as well. But they have such a strong top laner that I think moving 369 away from an objective that they were looking to fight for might actually hinder them more than anything else. So We get to see now Flandre going to recall. It's a swap that's going to be initiated by AL, maybe in an attempt to take down this dragon. But neutral objectives so far in the favour of Top Esports. It's only the 3 grubs to begin with. You could very easily see a turn to that dragon be their focus as well.
Definitely on the cards here. The Tarzan and AL are aware of that as well. As actually, they might be the ones to start this objective up themselves. Kael here. They know that right now JackeyLove and 369 are both on back timers, which means they have a little bit of opportunity to take this dragon down. And it looks like they will be able to do so successfully. So nice job from TES to take advantage of the situation. Or sorry, Avail to take advantage of the situation. Kanavi not going to be able to get there before it is too late.
Yeah, and Tarzan as well. Just, I mean, I think 1 camp ahead probably in terms of experience, but level 7 to level 6 also going to be not necessarily playing a factor, but is worth keeping track of. As in the last game as well, Tarzan was the large proponent of why we saw AL come out on top. He's looking to make another play this time, wrapping around mid lane and spot Crisp.
Tarzan's actually going to grab Crisp here as well. Kanavi thought that they could find a kill onto Shanks, but instead will just be headed right back to his top side camps. And another instance of Kanavi, one of the stronger players that we have had here in the LPL's history, not really doing much in the early games for top.
No, and I will say as well that these lane swap shenanigans that we're seeing do favour Misfortune. She can get around the map a lot faster. That strut passive, especially in a game where there's a lot of magical footwear happening. She's actually able to get around, probably catches 1 to 2 minions more overall than other top laners or other carries would do, as Creme now hopping straight onto Flandre, who's completely out of this game right now for the record as well. Ninja Tabbies plus a Kael plus a Ruby Crystal. We do not want to see Flandre fighting for the next 10 minutes.
Even with that ultimate button, it's like you press the R and then after that you're pretty useless at this point. Right now 369 in the top 10 has a big lead over him, as I assume Creme does as well. Sana. JackeyLove playing against Shanks right now, who has the soul unbound and will be able to dash right back. Another instance of some trading back and forth in terms of the HP bars, but right now 369 has his eyes set on more than just an HP bar, maybe a kill in full onto Hope. Dominus has been proc, stun lands from Chris. They're going to try to give the kill over to 369, but he pops the barrier. Finally, the flash Q from 369 will be able to secure the feat of warfare, as well as another kill on the Crocodile. And that is Top Esports once again getting control on the top laner here for themselves. Kanavi also able to pick up all 3 grubs on that exchange, stealing that last one away from Tarzan, making it a 6-0 trade.
It's a very good play for Top Esports, leveraging once again 369 on this Renekton to give them now an advantage, not just up against the Gnar, but taking Hope down once again. But I don't want to short sell what we got to see from Crisp in that fight, because he played that as perfectly as possible. Now Shanks looking to collapse onto 369.
No flash or dominance available here for the Renekton. However, it is generally a decent matchup for him. Shanks has the ultimate knockup that's connect, but not wanting to go any further, just in fear of potentially getting crowd control to oblivion underneath the tower, getting taken down. So instead, Shanks will allow this wave to crash in, maybe get himself a plate or 2. But Kanavi's here to try to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah,
369 has TP. Instead, he's going to TP up to that top side with Creme and Kanavi looking to collapse in the bot lane, and Flandre he's got Mega Gnar coming. Stridebreaker just finished for 369.
I don't think 369 should be able to pick up this kill. He has the Fury stack, but his dash forward actually picks up a lot of HP, and Flandre still playing rather aggressively in terms of his posturing here, but knows that there's no kill threat with the Mega Gnar still intact.
Oh,
so
Shanks, my good sir.
There
are sharks in the water.
And then he's going to get punished for it potentially. Uses the Fade Seal to get away from the Nature's Grasp. Nice usage of that ultimate ability in a defensive fashion. But he's going to still lose out on most of this wave. We'll get the cannon, but the plates will still fall regardless. Creme getting himself very, very fed in this one. Already 1,000 gold up on his opponent.
Yes, cashed in on that Kael as well on that wave that we just saw die underneath the turret. Yuntal already picked up, so he's stacking that up nice and early. We'll be working towards the Navori, probably heading towards IE nice and soon as well. That's this Tristana. I mean, definitely a threat to be keeping our eyes on, and certainly something that, for the moment, AL don't have an answer to.
See how aggressive Creme is being here. This as well has the full Yuntal picked up. to try to crack open this first tower on the bottom lane tier 1. Kael, though, looking for the engage alongside Tarzan. The tank squad will set up beautifully for Hope, who gets headbutted away, but will still be able to find a kill onto Chris, most likely. That ultimate is ticking. Another proc of the soul on Bound will allow for Kanavi to fall as well, and this is the fight that anyone's Legends was looking for. Shanks lands the Q3 onto Creme. He's going to go down as well. Tarzan does not take that final tower shot, and AL are right back into this game.
They find 3 kills. It comes at the cost of a tier 1 turret in the top side, but they snap back. They find a fight down in that bot lane. Get some kills on some very important members there. Hope coming away with an extra one. Shanks now on the board as well. And anyone's Legend finding that skirmish that they've not really found success with so far in this game. This is a composition for AL that thrives on the dive. When they go all in, they will find success, and that is highlighted in no better fight than this one down on the bot side. Double knockup comes through, and Kanavi, just the focus here. He flashes away thinking that he's actually going to be safe, but when Shanks pops back, the pop of the true damage comes through. Creme even flashes here to try and get out to safety, but Tarzan is far too much HP. Shanks with a really solid Q3 knockup as well. Makes another kill come through for anyone's Legend, and it's a little glimpse, it's a little teaser of what we can expect to see from anyone's Legend moving into this mid game, into that late game. They've still got a long road to go down. Anyone's Legend still behind in gold. Top Esports still got advantages in mid lane, advantages in top lane, and 369 is a monster.
They were able to pick up that tower in response to that JackeyLove that didn't stay even against Hope so far off of that trade. And we still see Top Esports playing aggressive towards this bottom side. That bottom lane turret is so low. They know that just a couple of auto attacks from JackeyLove should be able to take it down. But AL doing a good job of defending it, at least at this point in time. Now Flandre hits Mega, going to force him back away. Dragon is up once again, and so that should be the next fight for both of these teams.
And normally when you've got 6 grubs, your expectation is that you would have lost 2 dragons as well. So Top Esports maybe want, or maybe wouldn't mind giving this, but I think they're in a position where they can try to fight, especially if they collapse a little bit split. They can look for a skirmish here, but Drake goes down, TP even comes in, so they're going to look to prioritize this mid lane tier 1 turret. Trade of TPs so that Shanks can just get here, but the rest of the team, they're cut off.
So that's the trade that they want to go for. They trade that second dragon for getting that mid lane tier 1, which can have drastic implications of how the map is played for the remainder of this game. Top Esports also get a little bit of an infusion of gold with that. Well, they find themselves up about 2k. However, the pieces are starting to come together a little bit for AL. They have Hope with 2 kills. They have Shanks with that finished Blade of the Ruined King. Right now, though, their goal is not to fight these 5v5s, but instead look for picks like they're doing right now on the 369. There comes the engage from Hope, popping that killer instinct, but 369 will flash underneath the tower. A teleport comes in as well, as it's going to be Flandre joining the party here, but here comes JackeyLove. He has his ultimate available, uses that bullet time, and will be able to take down Kael. But he has Tarzan on top of him, but will not be able to get a kill onto the Misfortune in response. Another 1-for-0 in favor of top.
This is really big for Top Esports. That was a massive commitment from anyone's Legend. Shanks was even walking down to this bot side. Didn't end up being a part of that fight, but sacked mid lane, sacked off this top side as well to make this move happen, and doesn't get anything for it. Really solid play down on the bot side from 369 as well. He and Crisp stepping into a 2 versus 3 scenario, 2 versus 4, and stepping out with a kill as well. JackeyLove burns his cleanse, but he's more than happy to do that given that he was the recipient of that gold and keeping his top laner alive. Taking another look at this, it's Tarzan with good initial opening damage, and the CC comes through, but it's Crisp who's just there, blocks all of Hope's damage from coming through, stuns him up, and 369 quite happy to just stand here, tank up, uses a really good Call the Meek in a massive minion wave to heal on up. By the time Hope actually gets in to do the damage, the healing is done, and a really good little sequence of mechanics for Top Esports keep them in this, or keep them rather ahead in this game.
Maybe some faulty decision making from AL. I mean, as soon as you see Crisp in that engage and it's not a 3v1 against the Renekton, who's already very fed, it suddenly becomes a little bit harder. And I don't know if sending Flandre in with the teleport really did much, and also was potentially the right call. And it also allows for Creme to continue his side lane domination. He got almost half of that turret on the tier 2 top side down. And that could be another aspect of of map control that can be picked up here by Top Esports in response. And so even though AL are looking for these picks, overall Top Esports has gotten the better of it right now as they have continued to extend their gold lead after that initial play up to 3,500 at this point.
And the thing is as well that Creme needs one explosive charge alone with that top turret for it to go down. This guy is chunking through turrets at a extremely quick rate, and if he just gets that little bit of alone time, then he's going to find himself with, again, another massive gold injection. So keeping our eyes on how well Creme is able to navigate this mid game and how well he's able to continue to accrue gold is going to prove to be very important. But Flandre's reached that Trinity Force. The Gnar is, if nothing, a little bit online as JackeyLove is forced to flash.
Tarzan with that Glacial Prison, actually going to follow the flash as well to land the slow on the W. Flandre coming in, and that's Hope dashing forward with the killer instinct to pick up the shutdown onto JackeyLove. Those are two well-needed kills for the Kaisa as Hope is now 4-1.
What did we say, Grapes? What this thing that AL can do is go in, and they just, again, extend. Not even, it didn't feel like too far for Top Esports. They were in the river when they're winning the game at this point. Massive gold lead. They've got all three turrets still standing, but just the way that AL are able to collapse on them from such a far distance as well with Hope proves to be their undoing. Creme gets a little bit of time down on this bot side. 369 got that top tier 2 turret, and it's now the question of where is that gold going to be most important. Will 369 be able to take out Hope, or will this Kaisa just run rampant in these fights?
Yeah, I mean, 369 not there for that engage. You might think in a 5v5 situation when Top Esports are playing front to back and are playing to peel for their marksmen specifically, that could be where they find the advantage. But right now, Anyone's Legends are finding good situations for themselves. These isolated 1v1, 2v2 situations, they're going to try to find it again with Shanks going with the Fate sealed onto 369. Kanavi there to make sure that Crocodile does not go down, but all of a sudden, Anyone's Legends, they're packing a punch in terms of their engages. Absolutely,
and I think that the next Drake fight that we're going to see 20 seconds time from now is probably going to not even be that fight, right? You've just seen Dominus used. We've also just seen Fate Sealed used. And I do think that Top Esports are just strong enough at this point for AL to maybe be a little bit worried. Without that Fate Sealed, I think that their team fighting is just that little bit too weak, so that they won't want to opt into it. Hope you can see as well is looking to go towards that hybrid style of Kaisa build with the Amplifying Tome in the back pocket. So working probably toward that Nash's towards making sure that he's going to have some poke in the later stages of this game. But sniffing around at that Dragon now, Flandre needs to catch a top wave, has teleport to get down here if AL decide that stacking is what they want to do. And again, the thing that AL's composition does very well is dive. If they get access to JackeyLove, they can kill very quickly, but it needs to be a cohesive decision. They need to be 5 members jumping in together to make it happen, and with Flandre spending a little bit of time trying to recuperate the lost gold on the top side, it's a team-wide decision. The consensus has been met that fighting here is not our choice.
Yeah, and while the picks are very good in terms of the way AL has set up their composition and the way their champions are operating right now, in a full 5v5 situation where Top Esports have fully set up around a major objective, they definitely do not win that at this point, with 369 still being as strong as he is. The full Black Cleaver also in his inventory alongside the Stridebreaker. So looks like Anyone's Legend okay with giving up that third Dragon. That's the benefit of stacking the first 2. As now Top Esports drop that Rift Herald on the bottom side. Tarzan could be looking for a bit of a play, but he is spotted by this control ward.
Lots of members of Top Esports here. TP's going deep as well.
Wow, Creme maybe in some trouble, able to rocket jump away. Hope already has used the ultimate, and Kanavi with the Matrix Grasp gets him away. But now JackeyLove potentially targeted here by Flandre and Tarzan, but no hard crowd control. Can't land onto the MF just yet. 369 has arrived in the fight with a teleport. Flash, twisted advance onto Tarzan, and he will fall. JackeyLove picks up the gold, but now the Otacon playing a little bit of a role. As Flandre picks up the kill onto Kanavi, but it'll be matched nicely by Top. That's a double kill for Jackie.
Oh, it feels bad for Kanavi. He gets chopped down by the spinning blades of the Atacon, but it's a 2-for-1 trade, and it's one that nets Top Esports the Atacon as well. A scrappy fight, a messy engage down in the bot side, and one rocket jump, one flash from Creme baits in AL, and honestly catches them a little bit off guard. The engage that comes through is completely disjointed, and the TP, yes, it was into the backline, but it's far too deep. Hopefully we get a replay to take a little look again.
Another one of those fights that looked like it should have gone well for Anyone's Legends. Burn Creme's flash early with Shanks. You have JackeyLove targeted by 2 of the frontline members here of AL, but just not ending up being enough.
The important part here is that Hope's killer instinct actually ends up ruining him, because as soon as he goes out this direction, he can no longer get access to that backline, and he's just sat hitting a Maokai for the full duration. And JackeyLove once again with another great cleanse. The collapse from top esports is too strong, and the vision control as well for AL down in their own bot side jungle means that people can't get in. You can see, you know, Hope tentative to try and walk forward here. Shanks as well struggling to get anywhere into this fight because they don't see what they're walking into, and by the time that they see what they'd be walking into, it's already too late. The top esports roster have collapsed too far back for them to be able to contribute, and honestly, really solid buying of time and stalling from Creme keeps that fight from being a bit of a wash.
I know it's not like a super complicated concept, right? But just the way that top esports have to play around peeling for their ADCs and how they've been doing that and understanding their win conditions over and over again has been very impressive to watch so far in this game. You know, you see JackeyLove getting targeted immediately. Everybody retreats from where they were on the front side of the fight to go help out the Misfortune. And that creates a situation where then all of a sudden anyone's legend are separated against 5 full members of top esports. And then they're allowed to pick apart the competition at their own will. Nice buffer from Creme to get away from that glacial prison as top bot lane tier 2 now becomes a target. Top esports, a lot of control here with these 6 scrubs and 3,000 gold leads, so they're trying to pick up any turrets that they can.
Yeah, I mean, with Demolish propping and ready as well, you'd like to maybe take one.
Oh, look at the bullet time across the Nature's Grasp as well. Tarzan and Flandre are already so low. Shanks lends a nicely timed Fate Seal and will be able to pick up Creme. A 1-for-0 overall for anyone's legend, but the health bars are too chunked out for them to go for anything more.
Oh, and it's the bait, the Sejuani Gnar bait here, Grapes, that reels in Creme. He thinks, oh, I can DPS them under the turret whilst my tanks are taking up the front line and the damage. But Shanks finds access. Hope as well. Just weaves in enough auto attacks, enough damage between the 2 damage dealers that takes out the Tristana and halts this because it looks incredible for top esports. The combo is there. We get Maokai plus Alistair plus the Misfortune. It looks like AL are going to get slaughtered, but now they're trying to turn this into even more. Kaisa rips the Baron. Yone does too.
They know that this could be a last-ditch effort for them. Here comes the dominance of 369. Hope dashes in with the killer instinct, gets rooted up by Kanavi, knocked away, but the health bars are not right now on AL's side. 369 though gets bursted down.
Shanks!
There's Shanks' double knockup. He's popping off in this team fight, and AL will pick themselves up 4 kills off the back of Hope. It looks like right now with Creme respawning, they will not be able to go back to the Baron, but that's a massive team fight win.
Exactly, and that'll be happiness for AL. Getting the Baron there would have been crazy if they could get away with that 5 versus 4, with how strong 369 and JackeyLove are. But what they can do in that situation is find a 5 versus 4. Find that fight which theoretically is going to be on advantageous footing because they've got the numbers advantage, but it is still such fine margins. Remember, Baron reduces your ability to take team fights. You are quite weak as well. You lose your HP coming into this fight. Look, nobody on AL is full HP outside of Shanks. And when we see this engage come through, again, it looks really good. JackeyLove flashing over an engage. Free firing for the most part of this fight, but Flandre, despite his struggles of the early game, able to take JackeyLove to half HP. Shanks with a knock-up as well, able to take the Misfortune down. And the Bloodthirster did enough work in the early game, but as we've moved later on, that damage is starting to subside.
Now anyone's legend, they have a little bit of the momentum on their side here, Roodood, and they're looking for some more plays. They knocked down Chris at a half HP. Should allow them to get first dibs on this Mountain Dragon. The sole point for them. Looks like top esports want to fight this. They have all their crucial ultimates. Kanavi can start the engage here with the Nature's Grasp. Trying to find a bit of a smite. Nicely timed Glacial Prison as right now Shanks trying to dive into JackeyLove to make sure he can't not use the ultimate. As right now, the Dragon picked up. 369 on the backside will not be able to lock down Hope. And now anyone's legends are going to be able to pop off. Here comes Hope with the killer instinct. Will lock down Jackie. Shanks though with the soul unbound, not able to find anything just yet. As here comes Creme. Nice response. 2-man pull from Chris. Tarzan goes down. Rocket jump unlocked once again. Going back in onto Kael. And top esports will turn the fight back into their favor off the back of Creme on the Tristana.
You take down one AD carry, we've got another one locked and loaded. The Tristana finally comes alive in a fight. Resets all over anyone's legend. And despite them taking the Dragon, it's going to be top esports that turn tail and run to the Baron.
Will they be able to do it though? Flandre has teleport up in 20 seconds time. Tarzan not available, but Kanavi is. He has that smite. Creme does a lot of damage. 2.5 full items on this Tristana. This Baron is melting and should be going down to get another look at this fight.
And it's AL again that sort of flub on the engage. Shanks here, if this goes better for him, you can argue probably has a completely different team fight. But JackeyLove with some crispy movement keeps himself safe from the Yone, who has that little bit less impact. Hope as well kites out 369, dives in to assassinate JackeyLove, but nobody's focusing the Tristana, who's been going under the radar, quietly farming up in these team fights, farming on those side lanes, and left unchecked is now starting to tear through anyone's legend.
Yeah, I mean, the target was JackeyLove very clearly here for anyone's legend. Yeah, Flandre landed a really nice Gnar ultimate, and they were able to get him down in the fight. That's pretty untouched there, and again, top esports understand what they have to do to win these fights. Kanavi, 369, and Chris have one goal, and one goal in mind only, is to keep their 80 carries alive for as long as possible, and they did a really nice job of that, peeling back towards Creme once again after Hope dashed in with his ultimate on the Kaisa to try to find another assassination attempt. So the gold lead right back into top esports' favor. They have the Baron buff and the 6 grubs. And now their target has to be inhibitors, cracking open more structures and extending their lead in terms of cash in their pockets.
These two teams have played each other 3 times already this year. This is the 4th outing, and it is delivering. Another Nature's Grasp comes forward. Flash burned.
Yeah, at least gets them away from the bullet time, as now Kael some trouble here. Chris also taking a ton of damage, but has the ultimate unlocked right now. Flandre comes in, the 2-man ultimate with the Gnar, and there comes Shanks as well with the Fate Seal. Already 3 kills in favor of anyone's legend, as top esports Baron buff will not find anything other than a couple of tier 2s. Looks like they want more. The Prey Seekers does connect on the Creme, but there's no killer instinct to respond. Tarzan still hunting. They want this Tristana. They want Creme. Can the marksman do anything on their own? Looks like they'll do enough. As Tarzan gets chunked down to 400 HP, has to dash back away. But AL can now dive onto this bottom side. They have a wave, and they can push in onto these towers.
Yeah, they've taken so few turrets this game that this tier 1 actually gives JackeyLove and Creme an out. Flandre TP'd up to that top side. I don't think he's going to be able to get the tier 2 turret there. But anyone's legend, they decide they're taking their resets now. Spend that gold, try and get themselves a little bit more combat power. That gold difference has been completely narrowed up, just 1,500 gold to separate them. And JackeyLove calls the bullet time on the exact time that Flandre uses the flash. And Flandre here with Mega is just threatening 369, threatening Kanavi, so they can't actually step up to protect Chris at all. And it's just a short ulti from Hope this time around. Not that big dive into the backline, but does just enough to get him in range to take down the 3 frontliners. And you said in the prelude to that fight, Grapes, that their job was to protect their backline. They did that, but it cost them their lives and they got nothing in return.
And right now, actually, it's those marksmen who are behind their lane counterparts right now for top esports. Shanks has gotten himself very, very fed suddenly, working towards a 4th item, Infinity Edge, to go alongside a Random's Omen that is going to do a lot in terms of mitigating the damage that Creme and JackeyLove can do back to him. And then you look at Hope on this Kaisa. He's had himself a couple of really solid team fights. Up for the Zhonya's 4th item for a little bit of extra survivability as well as durability with the armor in that item as well. He's looking very strong in this game.
A little bit come back to those concerns that we had in the draft, right? Where they elected for Creme's Tristana on 3 instead of taking the Lilia to give them a true AP threat. But Kanavi's Liandry's at this point, it's not hitting the same way that an AP threat would do. Has opted into being this very much supportive cast member now. And it is allowed for AL to build 2 and a 3rd Randuin's in the works for Kael. Posturing now around this dragon as Shanks gets initially a good chunk onto 369. This is soul for anyone's legend. And now the poke comes through. Hope with the upgraded W. Shanks with his soul unbound as well. Just hops over walls, puts a quick little bit of damage down, goes back to safety. And that's a recall actually from 369 who's going to have to TP in.
So Kanavi actually the one to start the play onto Tarzan. He bursts down the Sejuani very, very nicely, forces him to flash away. Shanks now in trouble as well. He has the flash mirror. He does not have that spell. And Kanavi will be able to land the twisted advance and lock down the shutdown. Top esports start the engage first and will be able to win out on this fight for now. Hope though, he dashes over on to try to assassinate Creme, but will not find much other than half of his HP bar. Flandre, the next target here, as it is another kill picked up for JackeyLove. Anyone's legend They went for the fight, but Top Esports are still the team in control.
Yeah, they're looking for the game.
Creme lands the flash onto Hope as well. This Kaisa is dead. JackeyLove picks up his 8th kill of the game, and we are headed to a game number 3 of our LPL Finals rematch.
4 times round. We will never see a sweep between these two teams. Top Esports fight back in game number 2 to send us to match point.
It looked a little dicey there for a bit, Roodood, especially around that Soul Dragon fight, but Top Esports are going to prove why they were the champions last split. They did it by taking down anyone's legends as they do here, and will have one more opportunity to pick up their first win of the group stage.
And it's Kanavi stepping up at that time when he needs to most, right? Something that no Lilia, no Nidalee could have done. A point-and-click CC onto the frontliner as they are too far forward. Tarzan just steps 1 inch too close. Kanavi spots him, calls him out for it, and the double marksman shred through that front line, open up that fight and make it that game, and make that game Top Esports, as it was so close, honestly. For the final 5 minutes or so, we'd had this bounce back of either side going blow for blow with each other, and really that final fight was always going to be the decider. It ends it up being Top Esports' favour, and with one quick push into that mid lane, a TP from Creme, they're able to find another win.
And going into that last team fight, Roodood, it looked like, oh gosh, you know, anyone's legends, they were able to stop the Baron push by picking up a few kills, and then they chunked 369 out to half HP with Shanks on the Yone, right? And then all of a sudden, it's Kanavi, the big veteran on this Top Esports team, the guy who's the new player on Top Esports, but has been in the LPL for so many years. On the Maokai, he finds the first engage onto Tarzan, his opposing superstar jungler, and that's just the pick that started the snowball here for Top Esports around that dragon fight. As soon as they chunked him out, all of a sudden anyone's legends were playing on the defensive, and Top Esports were able to close the gap and eventually win the game.
And you know, it sucks for anyone's legend that those are the types of things that end up costing you games, because you've worked for 30 minutes to try to claw your way back into this game. You were behind for so much of the early game. You've made these really proactive plays to find a way and find out that you're now back in the game. You can start to take these team fights, but one misstep, one step too close to the sun, as it were, ends up costing you. And you know, for Kanavi, that's something that he's going to be nice and happy to take advantage of. For Tarzan, it's something that he's going to be kicking himself for, because that game was winnable for anyone's legend, and had it have just been a little better positioned and a little better forethought about 4AL, they might yet have won it and might yet have 2-0'd Top Esports in this group.
Because it looked like the pieces were coming together a little bit for them, especially towards the end. You see how much damage Hope did in this game, leading the entire game. But it's double marksman composition for Top Esports. It's Kanavi doing some work on the Maokai as well. And we've got ourselves a game 3 here, Rood. I know that we have not had that do or die decider in any of these series. They've all been 3-1s, but this is pretty close to what that can be in terms of stakes in a best of 3.
Yeah, and remember, right, this is, you know, a group stage game where I think that when you've got so many Ascend, or when Ascend is going to be so close anyway, that getting these series wins is going to be so important. That AL potentially throwing a little bit there is going to cost them dearly, and if they end up losing this series when they could have won this game and won the series here, it might be something that eats at them a little bit later on. So finding, you know, a win here in this third game is now going to prove to be even more important to make sure that they don't get a loss on this series and open up their campaign for this group stage in a negative.
Yeah, so many really fun team fights. I mean, we're starting these replay package at like 20-25 minutes into the game, because there was just so many fights to cover in terms of how it looked like Top Esports were winning, and then maybe anyone's legends found a bit of a turn here. Another fight here that ended up working out, looking like it worked out well for Top, but then, you know, there's the re-engage onto Creme. Really nicely played by Shanks and Hope overall in this game, even though they weren't able to win it.
And I mean, Kael there, the one that ends up, you know, nailing the hook that catches Creme off guard, and this fight that ends up ensuing around the Baron as well. I think everybody pretty much playing this about as well as I might have liked them to. We've got an engage onto the backline. Flandre with 200 HP just jumps onto JackeyLove, takes him to half. Shanks as well, stacking up his Qs on Baron so that he can make the difference and get in there and take down the MF as well. And then we see the complete opposite, where again, that could have probably ended this game. Had that fight gone a little bit better, this is one where AL aren't quite able to clean up, and it's where Creme starts to actually come alive and showcase what the Tristana can do, right? This is the pick that we said was synonymous with Creme, with his insane win streak back in 2024, and we got to see shades of why.
And we saw Creme pick up a couple of kills early in game number 1 on the Aurora, but was not able to turn that into a game win for his team. This time around, though, on the Tristana, less kills, more waves and towers picked up. Got very strong on this champion and was able to have a massive impact as the game closed out here for his team. Again, one of the younger, newer players on top esports, as we get a very nice cinematic replay of this Gnar ultimate here from Flandre. As this was maybe the opportunity for AL to come back into this one, as they were able to take down the entirety of the front line for TES.
Yeah, I do think they were a little bit lost in what they wanted to do, but it's Tarzan just stepping forward to clear a ward. Has lost so much HP, and unfortunately, you know, Shanks hesitant to call his ultimate, doesn't want to use his ulti as a disengage tool around such an important objective, and ends up dying with his ulti up in that fight. I like the heads-up play from Hope here, knows that he's going to die if he stays in that mixer, so instead just hops out and is like, yeah, well, you guys have fun. Again, it's heads up to, he moves into the mid lane, try and clears out the wave, but Creme reads it immediately, TP's in and stops that from happening. Again, heads up play from both sides there. Really, really solid, really nice cognitive processes for both of them as well.
And now we've got ourselves a game 3. You know, in terms of MVP here for top esports, another game where you could throw it a couple of different ways. You know, 369 had such a big impact in the early game, but I feel like he kind of fell off as we got later on to it, and I think it was Kanavi maybe who had the higher impact in terms of figuring out how to team fight, finding those engages, but no, they're going to give it to the Crocodile instead. 369 looks like the solo kill was enough at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly struggling. I do know that top esports, you know, obviously coming out with the win in that game, will have been relying very heavily on 369 to get them to the point that they were at. So, I mean, they leveraged a lot of the Renekton's power early to put them ahead, and that's what got them there. So I think that's the important part.
Yeah, as we see one quick look at this solo kill before we send things to a break and get us to our last game of the day. What a great day it has been here for the first day of the LPL. Shows how fun this Ascend group is going to be, because you have all these super close series. I mean, even FPX taking a game off of Invictus Gaming earlier today. And now we have, of course, our finals rematch between Top Esports and Anyone's Legends. The first of 2 times they're going to face off in the regular season, but let's make sure that it ends this first matchup off with a banger. We'll be right back